First, can you please describe the exact part each of you is taking in making a movie? Because I think many people don't know what a producer is doing, what a director is doing, what a character designer is doing.
We'll get to that.
Okay.
Peter, why don't you start?
Okay, well, I have been the character designer on all of the Ice Age films, and that is pretty much the extent of my job description.
Okay, thank you.
I was the director of the first Ice Age film, and I've helped produce the subsequent ones. Directing is pretty self-evident. Producing, it's a different job for every producer, but mostly it's creative support for the people that are directing the next ones.
Thank you, Chris. I was co-director for the first Ice Age with Chris Wedge, and then I directed the second and the third, and later directed the Rio movies, Rio 1 and 2.
Okay.
So I think what we try to do is to try to make sure that we keep our vision, going forward, but with the collaboration and the work and the creativity of the entire team, like starting with somebody like Pete that does the design, and with the rest of the crew that all chip in and work together to make the movie, as great as possible.
Okay, thank you. Can you please tell me how big the crews were on the Ice Ages, and how long does it take from the former idea to the moment when the movie is finished?
First Ice Age, we started small and we grew the company to about 170 people.
Okay.
And then on subsequent Ice Ages, our crew's grown up to over 500 people. Wow. And those are people that, there are animators, lots of animators, but also people that, like Peter, that design the characters, but then people that, help make the characters into 3D and rigging them and making them ready for the animators, and then people that put color on them, and then technical people that write the programs that we use, and producers that manage all the work, and people that pay the bills, and people that sweep the floors. There are many, many, many disciplines involved.
Okay, and how long does it take?
Oh, sorry.
Sorry.
The entire process for a film,
Yeah.
soup to nuts, is that 3 years?
3 to 4.
Yeah.
3 to 4 years.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. So it's a lot of work. It's huge. Everything is huge. Huge
Well,
crews
that's
and.
what,
It is.
When you visit this exhibition, you'll see all the contribution of the different people. The movies come all at once to the audience, and it seems like it was just born that way. But you'll see here that many, many designs went into every character and every scene, every environment. Many, many, many ideas, some that stay, some that are transformed, some that get thrown away. But this is an opportunity for you to see all the people's work that goes into it. People make them.
Yeah. And the cool thing about it is that although we have an idea of where we're going with these things, because there are so many layers, we can't really predict exactly what it's going to look like, what it's going to sound like, any of that. When we all finally see it put together with the actors, with the music, with the sound effects, it becomes something we couldn't predict. It's very exciting.
Okay.
Something that Peter couldn't predict, but Carlos and I always know exactly what we're doing. We know exactly what to do. Yeah, so
Okay.
you know.
And do you think that one has to try several different jobs in the animation field before choosing the job which suits them best?
I think that's a great idea. No, that's a question people always ask. How do I get to do what you do? Or how do I get to be an animator? Or what should I do to become somebody? And my answer is always just do the work that you love to do, because that you'll get better at that, and you'll attract people that like what you do.
Do these days, out of practicality, I'd heard at some point that that they like people who have they're multidisciplines, so that when their stage of the work is done on the pipeline, they're not just sitting around, that they can be applied to something else. Does that happen where they move from department to department, or?
When we started the company, there were more generalists, more people that could do a lot of different things, because we were small and we had to share the responsibility. Sometimes you had to do a whole job on your own. But as the company's grown, it's become more specialized. And I'll say that when someone spends their career doing one thing, they get much better than anybody that spreads it around. So that, I mean, one of the things that's happened at Blue Sky is that we have these incredible specialists working on things.
Well, one thing sometimes helps, like some people have multi-talent. Some people can really draw well, can animate, or can be a good illustrator, or can write, and something like that. So sometimes they don't know exactly what they want to do. So sometimes like hopping around to trying to find out could happen. But once you find what you really love and then your strength, I think Chris is right. I think it's usually best for the career, I would say.
One totally different question. Do you have children you can test your ideas and movies on? Like children who would be like critics?
I have many.
Just like critics.
I have 4 children, so.
Okay.
And all ages. So my oldest one was the first audience for Ice Age, the first one. She was like, back then I think she was 4.
And was she very critical, or?
Well, not at that age. She cried a little bit in a couple of the moments, but she was good. She enjoyed it. And the other ones, they kind of went through all the process, you know, and they're good, you know. I try not to show them too much. I try to keep it like as a surprise. But then, if I have a question, if I have a specific moment that I wanted to test out, like just sort of like just to see, you know, sometimes I show it to them, and they're critical. They can be harsh. You know, they're honest, which is good.
I mean,
You go ahead, I'm sure.
well, the process of testing our movies, to sharing them with people, is something you have to be very careful about. Because when you're making the movie, you have to be confident about your own vision for it. You're telling the story. And you have to wait until the movie's at a certain point. And again, after having said we work on them for 3 or 4 years, it doesn't start looking like the movie until the last year or the last 6 months. So that's when you can show it to an audience. And I've gained a deep respect for that experience of watching it with an audience. Not so much listening to people's comments after it, but being in a theater while it's on the screen, feeling what they feel. Because we all share, that's the great thing about going to the movies with people. You have a common experience. Everyone feels the same emotion. You can feel it. It's palpable. And that's, for me, the best tool for going in and making changes.
And I've got 2 girls who've grown up with the Ice Age movies. You know, at the end of each film, we have Ice Age babies, and those are the babies that are born during the production of the film.
All Peter's babies.
Yes, well, yeah, they're all
Congrats.
mine. I'm very
Congrats.
popular, very popular. No, but I have 2, and Paulina was in the scroll of the first film, and Fia was in the second one. But as far as them being critics, they're not really reliable critics. They'll come down to my studio, and invariably, no matter what I'm looking at, what I'm working on, they'll look at it and say, "That's so cute," but I don't believe them. And sometimes they'll look at it for a minute, and then they say, "But you know, this part is kind of weird." But usually it's, "Oh, it's so cute."
That is cute.
Yeah.
And about children still, many people think that animation movies are for children, but how would you convince them that animation is just another form of art and is for everybody, grown-ups too?
Well,
I don't know if you convinced them.
That hasn't happened yet. We still haven't had the film that's really more for adults than
A good film is
because
more
an
for
animated
adults.
film. Yeah, it's
It could
coming.
be on its way.
It's coming, but I would think, but it hasn't happened yet. So I still think ultimately, or at least primarily, we're trying to entertain the younger set, and then force the parents.
There's all kinds. Like when you go to watch the movies like at night, you know, and then you see a lot of adults, mostly adults in the theater watching it. I think there's might not be as wide as like we expect it to be, but there's a lot of appreciation for the animation art from the adults, and it's a family movie, so I think it encompasses like it's not only for children. You get the parents to come and the siblings and everybody around it comes to watch the movie. So I think sometimes we achieve that kind of like all groups kind of wanting to watch it. I think with the Ice Age we were very successful with that.
That's sort of the holy grail. That is the goal.
Having worked in animation, at least for me, for my whole career, it's an important question. Why are there not more animated movies for adults? I don't understand necessarily why animation is considered for children first. even when Disney did fairy tales, I guess, maybe that was part of it, but the Warner Brothers cartoons weren't for kids. They were shorts in front of movies that adults were watching. It could be that because they became popular on television and television babysitted children for so long. There's really no reason. The good thing, as Carlos said, for us is that it appeals to all ages. So for the children who still live in this kind of magical world where they don't know if it's real or if it's fantasy, they can't tell the difference. It's great on that level. They just accept it. For adults, I think the thing that works the best is comedy. Everybody wants to laugh. So our films, when they work well, they work in a family venue, in that family, for that family audience. Everybody's covered. But I think part of the answer to this is very boring. A lot of people work on them, so they cost a lot of money to make. And so when we release the movies, we have to release to the broadest audience we can find. And right now, that's family that they make an event. They go to the movies. They go once a month, and hopefully they choose our movie.
If I'm right, Blue Sky Studio was created in 1987. Great, I'm right. It seems to me, maybe I'm wrong, it seems to me that at that time Disney was very hegemonic in the animation world. How did you manage to become such an important and famous studio, and wasn't it a bit intimidating at first?
It was never intimidating. We started Blue Sky with an interest in the technology, really. Computer animation was so young that we had ideas about what it might be in the future. So we started working on that. It was all about, we were much younger, and it was all about it was just about the technology and what we thought we could do. It all evolved very naturally. If you ask me, in the 80s, there weren't very many interesting animated movies. And as this technology evolved, and as the audience came to it, and the business came to it, it became something that we could do much more than you could do with traditional techniques. So we were very fortunate, I think, timing-wise, at Blue Sky, that we had the tech ready, and the world came to us in many ways for the stories.
And maybe this one is more for Peter. When you are working for, I think you worked for Disney as well?
Yes,
Mulan?
I've done some work for them.
When you are working for one studio, do you have to adapt to a traditional aesthetic of that studio? Or
No.
Is it different? No, it's not different?
No, at least I never have. I don't think there would be any point in going outside their own studio if they were looking for their own house style. I think the idea of that is, I think when I first started working in animation, the idea of going out of the studio was not a common thing. I think it sort of happened with me and a couple of other artists, and they recognized that there were things to get outside of their system, because people drew in a very Disney style, and there was something fresh to be gotten outside of it.
And you draw mostly creatures. Do you prefer drawing creatures over humans, or is it equally enjoyable?
No, I have two careers. I also do illustration for print, for books and magazines and that kind of thing. And plenty of humans in them. It just happens that there are so few of them in the Ice Age universe, and most of the films, not all of the films, but most of the films I've worked on have been animal-centric. But I've designed quite a few humans in my career.
You do not prefer creatures? Humans are good.
Actually, to answer your question, I really do enjoy drawing animals. I do. If I had a slight preference, maybe that's true.
Okay. It's for the three of you this time. Mm-hmm. How would you describe the special Blue Sky identity? Sorry for that one.
Is there one?
Well, I don't know if it's expressed. I don't know if I don't know if a special Blue Sky identity is expressed in the movies, because we try for each movie or franchise that we're doing to hit a different style. I think there's a spirit of kind of comedy at the heart of a lot of our stuff. Certainly the Ice Age movies exhibit that very, very broad sense of comedy. I think more than anything, you have to come to Blue Sky to feel what's singular about it, and it's just that a lot of our crew has been together for so long. We're the only company on the East Coast of America, we're the only company in New York that does this, and so we're isolated in a sense, and we've developed a sense of family that just it just moves from movie to movie and makes it easy to do.
That's great.
Yeah, and because I think also our projects are so diverse, we have so many different ideas, and we try to make sure that they feel diverse, as well. Like just, I think Chris is right. It's like what make us, our identity is pretty much like the team. It's the way that we work, the way we put our projects together, and I think it's a little bit of the feeling of not feeling bound by a style or not feeling bound by a legacy or something like that. Like, I think we have our own ideas and our own journey to our own path to go, so that's, I think,
so it's more about people and
it's
the
more
team.
about people, the way
Okay.
we do it, I think.
I think for most of our readers, the Ice Age movies are your most famous ones. My question would be, how did the idea was born for the Ice Age, and when did you all begin to take part in this project?
Well, the best way to answer that is just to tell you how it worked chronologically.
Yeah, please.
Laurie was developing animation at Fox, and she had the idea to put a movie in the Ice Age. And she developed a very strong story with a writer, and she brought that to us. Fox brought us together. And as soon as we got the story, we started developing it. There's one thing that's well known among people that make animation, and that there's a process to making animation. And it's that we work on it for so long that we can make it better for a long time. We can take a script and we can make storyboards with it, and then we can start to design characters for it and animate. And once we see how it's going to look, we can go back and rewrite it, because nothing's done yet. And so this feedback loop, this iteration makes it possible to just keep improving and discovering more about the world. And that's how Ice Age came together. So part of it was Carlos had been with Blue Sky for many years at that point and was a very, very strong animator and starting to exercise more strength in story. Peter was a character designer that we just all put our arms around each other and pulled together to add our own influences and make Ice Age something that, like transcends all of us together. It becomes its own thing.
Okay, and what about Scrat? Because I think everybody who's seen the Ice Age movies is a big fan of Scrat. Did you know at the very beginning that he would be such a cult character? And Chris, why did you decide to become Scrat's voice?
There's not another option, that was it.
Yeah, Scrat came as quickest way to say this is we wanted to open Ice Age in a funny way, because the story took a while to get going. You were half an hour in before all the characters were on the road together, and then it was going to get funny. So I wanted to make sure that we got the tone right up front, and I thought maybe if the Ice Age was a character, a glacier could chase one other character, and maybe it should be the smallest one we've done. And I asked Peter, what's the smallest character? He showed me a little drawing of a little squirrel that I wish we still had. I don't know where it is. And then one of our storyboard artists, Bill Frake, took off, and everyone, we just made this sequence about a little squirrel that got chased, trying to keep his acorns. And like I said, in this process where we do things over and over again, the Scrat just became more and more important in the movie and evolved on its own. And the ideas were just me late, tired, and hoarse, making this Scrat seem as though he was struggling as hard as I was.
Okay. And you decided you wanted to be Scrat?
I never decided. It was in editorial. I picked up a mic, and we had to, what we do is we take our storyboards and we cut them into the movie, and you just see these little drawings cut, and you have to make little, you either use dialogue or you're adding music, you're trying to make it into a movie, and I just started making stuff like that.
Yeah, you're really great at it.
Well, all the designing, animating,
what are your next projects about?
We're currently working on Ferdinand, the story of Ferdinand the Bull, which is a project based on a children's book, American children's book. And that should be the next movie coming out next summer. Not this coming summer, the one after that. So that's me, next.
And we always have a number of projects in development. I don't think the next movie after that is quite announced yet, but we're putting out we're putting a movie a year out, and so they take many years to develop the ideas, and so.
And I can speak to that.
Oh,
Yeah,
Peter, why don't you tell us what is coming out?
Well,
in 2035.
In 2038, actually, it's been pushed out because it's still in development. No, I've been developing 2 projects with Blue Sky for a few years, and it's sometimes that's just the way it is. These things can be a very protracted process. Ask Chris about Epic. It takes a while.
She said that was the last question, unfortunately.
No, you can. You're a very good interviewer, actually. So go ahead.
No, he will certainly attest that that these things sometimes take a long time to make, but they do eventually get made. That is my hope.
Okay.
Mine too.
Well, thank you very much.
All right,
Thanks a lot. It was really interesting, and we got the scratch. So thank you.
Coming out of somebody else's face.
I think it's the first
Thank
time I ever saw
you.
you do that.
On est avec François Civil et Pierre Ninet. Bonjour tous les deux.
Salut.
Vous jouez Timothée et